Just the name is different. Emmerich's Essentials. It's on average 20% off. On top of that, if you sign up for auto ship, an additional 25% off. Emmerich's Essentials is all about personal care, hygiene, not getting skin cancer, not getting bit by a bunch of bugs and mosquitoes. It's all there. InfoWarsLife.com, InfoWarsStore.com, and you'll find Emmerich's Essentials.
Position that can be marginalized and spat upon.
Exactly. Kevin, they're so hated as they spit on us. It's like laurels. It's like they're rose petals.
And believe me, this information war stuff, this is what's been going on. CIA is more in that than any covert killing crap. It's all about manipulation. Yeah. It used to be you write something in, like the Kenya Times. You have an asset, write it in the Kenya Times, and then the New York Times goes, according to the Kenyan Times. And, right? Am I right?
Really, it's just the CIA, yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Right. That's exactly. You see, what happened is you blew apart the entire system, and that was part of what I said in the internet. And, of course, who brought the internet in, with all due respect? It was people like Don Gregg, the CIA, and DARPA that brought it in the 1970s, and they trained guys like us at MIT.
But there's some talk that the elite thought it was their total control arm, but instead, Patriots Inside really had it as the ultimate sabotage of the elite. But I think it's a machine we're building, the people built together using it, that the elites are fighting over. You think that's an accurate statement?
Well, you got to understand, in our world, or my world, the elite is Don Gregg. It's not the New York Times. The elite are the people who worked with Don Gregg and others, and I'm not going to mention them. But that is the elite that was the elite. They were part of the Council on Foreign Relations. Some of us left, as I did. Some remain, but the real elite has never been part of the New York Times or the Washington Post. Adam can tell you, when did David Ignatius of the Washington Post ever call up Don Gregg for information recently?
Never.
Well,
because they don't want truth. They want to regurgitate what some think tank or elitist wanted. Kevin.
Well, they're basically much more sycophants than that, and they're opportunists. And the problem is, if Don Gregg is not relevant today, which he is to me, the other elite, the more important elite in terms of intelligence and military, than he is to the ongoing discussions, then they don't call a Don Gregg anymore. But I would always say to ask, well, where's Don Gregg? What does he think?
Sure, the point is they don't want to know what North Korea really is. They just want to make something up.
Well, if
they put that out, it becomes more of a fantasy land and becomes dangerous.
If it bleeds, it leads. It's much better for ratings, and that is the bottom line. The bottom line, it is much better for ratings to scare people.
Well, I'll admit it, too. I mean, when they're talking about nuking and the president saying fire and fury, I'm kind of running around there, stay around the house. I mean, like a chicken, I mean, that's what happened.
We love you for that.
You guys are worse than I am.
For 25 years, I've been born babies and cows.
Yeah,
and you were right.
It was said it.
That's the crazy part.
It said it. I read it was like in the BBC 20 years ago. For at least 20 years, they've had humans gestating an embryonic form inside bovine. And then I'm reading it. I mean, but I wasn't a trailblazer. They were doing it.
You were
gay frogs.
Yes, gay frogs.
The WB frog.
Yeah. Well, that's atrazine. Atrazine is a real issue. It's not being discussed at all. He's just laughing. He's like, I can't believe I'm alive.
What's funny is, actually, you hit on a soft spot right now. There's this whole new genetic editing called CRISPR, where they can create anything they want. So, in effect, we're all in the same boat.
Unicorns didn't exist, but we could engineer a baby now with a big pink unicorn horn.
Yeah, you got it.
You could probably even engineer him to crap Skittles. Hey, Dr. Steve Puchenik. Hey, we're going to come right back with Roger Stone, Adam Curry. Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Nice to meet you, Steve.
Yeah, crazy show.
A 44-year-old father was beat by a gang of teenagers and knocked out with a skateboard after he asked them to stop smoking marijuana on a Dallas train. The group of teenagers included young men and women who punched the father and threw him against the train's doors before arriving at the station near Deep Ellum in Dallas, Texas. In world news, 22.5% of the German population now has a migrant background. Migrants and their children make up an estimated 18.6 million people in Germany. According to the Federal Statistical Office, which attributed the shocking statistic to German Chancellor Angela Merkel and her open border policies. In contrast, President Trump plans to overhaul immigration laws in America as part of his wide-ranging agenda to tighten border security. The president is working with 2 senators to draft a bill to create a skills-based immigration program that gives priority to Americans by cutting down on work visa abuse, among other things. For more breaking news and reports, check back at Inforwars.com throughout the day. This is Kid Daniels reporting.
New from Emmerich's Essentials. Fragrance-free natural deodorant for your body care needs. Playing basketball in the dry summer heat really makes me sweat. To maintain my game, I need all the confidence I can get. That's why I use Emmerich's Essentials Natural Deodorant, made with organic ingredients. This deodorant combines mineral crystals with natural botanicals to ionize odor, keeping me fresh throughout the day. While shooting hoops, the last thing I want is sweaty armpits making my hands slippery and the ball wet. That's why I recommend Emmerich's Essentials fragrance-free deodorant. Even though it's unscented, it's effective at combating strong body odor, and I don't have to worry about any unwanted allergic reactions to my sensitive skin. Whether you're a guy or gal, the last thing you want to be worried about is your deodorant. No petroleum-based ingredients, 100% natural and cruelty-free. Stay in the game with Emmerich's Essentials fragrance-free natural deodorant. Available at InfoWarsStore.com.
We have the new product at InfoWarsLife.com, BioTrue Selenium.
We've had so many requests over the years for selenium, and just recently we were able to source a certified organic, bioavailable selenium from mustard seed extract. When you take selenium in the body, it actually benefits the detoxification systems in your body. It helps balance the thyroid gland. It helps detoxify.
Selenium is another one of those absolute must-haves.
The highest concentration of selenium is in the thyroid gland, but it's actually used all over the body. As a matter of fact, there's 25 genes in the body that are directly dependent upon selenium. So it really is a all-around nutrient that everybody really needs.
I'm taking it now every day. This is so key. BioTrue Selenium is the product, the best selenium that we could bring you. We believe is the best out there at a very, very low price. Exclusively available at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139.
Crashing through the lies and disinformation, it's Alex Jones coming to you live from the front lines of the Infowar.
Between the time of the fall of the witch Queen Hillary and the rise of the anti-globalist movement, there was a time of great adventure. I alone am your chronicler. It's kind of a rip-off of the Conan the Barbarian intro. I'm cutting one for David Knight. It's kind of a comedy piece, but fun for his new show he's launching, where it starts like that. Between the time of the fall of Hillary. No, I was writing it yesterday, having a voice today. It was more like between the defeat of the witch Queen Hillary and the fall of the New World Order, there was a time of great adventure. And then it comes in with the big anvil of Crom music you just heard. Kind of a side issue, but that is coming up. What's the launch date of David Knight's new broadcast? It's the 21st. August 21st, 2017. Real News with David Knight. And folks are saying, are you still going to call it Real News? President Trump's launched his new thing called Real News. Yes, the two don't compete with each other. One is an hourly boil down. Ours is a week morning, 3-hour transmission of talk radio, and we launched it first. Is the president plagiarizing us? No. If the CNN is fake news, we're launching something called the Real News. And I know that most of our audience understands that, but some people territorialize things a little too much. And I get territorialism with women and things like that. But I do not get territorialism when it comes to ideas. I want my ideas taken. When it's by the Patriots, I don't like the plagiarism of the left. And Roger Stone has had CNN, all the rest of them, take what he says and invert it. We have had them call themselves the resistance now everywhere. We've got so much to cover. Manafort, SWAT team raided. the North Korea situation, and then he's got a guest coming up. But I promise, that's why I stayed over at his time. We're going to go to Kevin and Max and Bill and Josh and Alex in about 2 minutes. But Roger Stone, tell us what's coming up. And speaking of people stealing information, that's what MSM's done to us in their desperateness, but it's not working.
Alex, in the second half hour, we're going to analyze the president's decision yesterday to endorse Senator Luther Strange in the special election in Alabama for the seat of Jeff Sessions. The reason this is important is because the president has unfortunately folded to pressure from Mitch McConnell and is supporting a candidate who does not support the Trump agenda. I view this as a golden opportunity to demonstrate that the president's prepared to punish his Republican opponents. But unfortunately, General Kelly and others have got the president to go along to get along. We'll get into this in the second half hour. The big news today, of course, is the Manafort raid. I have now conferred with Manafort's attorneys. I have confirmed that all of the records that were obtained were never requested by Mueller's office. They were all mundane, mostly public documents. Bank records could certainly have been obtained by Mueller from the bank with a subpoena. So this is a kangaroo court style show process. And as I said earlier, I think they're trying to distract from the fact that Jeff Sessions may finally have woken up and appears to be on the trail of Bill and Hillary Clinton and the corruption at the Clinton Foundation, because attorneys from the Southern District in New York have interviewed a number of Clinton Foundation officials and are seeking an interview with Hillary herself.
Wow, flesh that out more for us, because obviously you're the former business partner in your lobbying firm with Manafort and Stone and Manafort, and he was the campaign chairman after Lewandowski took over from you. So I guess he was the third campaign manager. Pure optics, obviously, they admit they've run cold on their whole Russia narrative. You've said many times when you've been subpoenaed by these same people, you send nothing because there is nothing. They're talking about in Reuters and places of me being subpoenaed. I mean, there's literally about my Russian funding. I mean, it's like saying they're going to subpoena me about the leprechaun I've got living in my basement. I mean, it's just, there is no Russian connection. There's zero.
That's exactly right, Alex. Look, this is really quite simple. Paul Manafort represented a political party in the Ukraine that competed in an election, the results of which we, the United States, recognized. The individual that he elected, Viktor Yanukovych, then went on to take Ukraine into the European Union over the opposition of Vladimir Putin. There is nothing untoward or illegal or improper about Manafort's representation of a political party in a foreign country. It's perfectly proper. In fact, it's common. Some have said, well, because Yanukovych was a pro-Eastern, that shows that Manafort is in bed with the Russians. It shows nothing of the kind.
But that's all they've got. You've been saying that for over a year. That's what's come out. But the big problem I've read from this is they're now looking with what you predicted with total precision. It's just true. That next it would be, banks or money or campaign money or laundering or not paying all his taxes. And now they admit it's a total dragnet of his friends, his family, the entire Trump organization, any media that supports him. It's an intimidation, not just a witch hunt, but the message, you back Trump and the Make America Great Again agenda, we're going to destroy you.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And we have seen this by Mueller's publicly stated intention that he's going to look at real estate transactions done by Donald Trump 25 years ago, long before he entered the public arena of politics. Alex, they believe, or at least they purport to believe, that Russian-funded bots have taken the Inforwars links of some of our best stories and put them out on the internet. This is a lie. There is no evidence to this effect. It's merely a way to blacken your name and try to discredit Inforwars. There is no there there. I can tell you what Mueller's got in his hand. Nothing. Zero.
The Russia thing is the ultimate nothing burger, just like global warming and all the rest of it, but are man-made, anthropogenic. But expanding on that, then we're going to these calls. Skip this break so you get more time. Clearly, though, their strategy is just get this grand jury that comes out of the swamp. 91% voted for Hillary. Clearly, it's just shake the voodoo stick at things and just say, oh, look, they're criminal over and over again, and then just say abracadabra and subpoena and SWAT team enough people until that materializes. But I just don't see the public buying it.
No, it's kind of interesting. What you have, and it's very noticeable, Brennan, Clapper, Rogers, and all of the deep state talking heads saying over and over again, we know the Russians interfered with the American elections and they colluded with the Trump campaign. They mindlessly repeat it over and over and over, and it's a lie. And they know it's a lie. But they think if they keep saying it, that people will believe it.
The national polls say, even in their fake polls, 6% think Russia's real or important in New York Times polls. People are sick of it. Their own party constituents say, fire Pelosi from leadership, fire Waters, we're sick of these losers, we want jobs. Well, Trump's giving you, in fact, there's a clip Daria was pointing out, my Russian handler, I'm joking, I shouldn't even joke about that, she's the biggest Russian connection we got here. She is of evil Russian lineage. She was pointing out a video we ought to air from the news. I'll dig it out here after calls, where, they're pointing out Trump is giving people classic nationalistic JFK-style economic stuff. I mean, he's more of an old-fashioned Democrat when it comes to economic policies than he's a Republican.
1 million new jobs since he became president. The stock market hitting record levels. Cutting back the low-level regulations that are holding America back. These are the stories you won't read on the front page of the New York Times or the Washington Post. These are the stories that won't lead on CBS or CNN. That's the real story. Yes, he is a John F. Kennedy, rising tide lifts all boats style Democrat with a small d. And the fact that Trump is bringing us prosperity when they predicted the stock market would crash if he was elected is driving them insane.
And that really is the thing. I noticed on Monday, or no, last Friday, Drudge tweeted the jobs numbers from CNBC. Hardly a right-wing, bastion of propaganda. It was just the job numbers. And they blocked Trump, Eric Trump, his son. The tweet, it just said, this is sensitive, this could violate our terms, which has the whole list of racist, all that crap, if you'll read their rules. Just a link. It wasn't even Drudge's production. It was just a Drudge tweet with, oh, look at the great job numbers and look at the small business numbers, the best in decades. And they're like, oh, you can't do that. These racist, all that crap. Even in communist China, they let people tweet out positive stuff about the economy. I mean, this is beyond North Korea.
Censorship is kind of the last vestige of the scoundrels here. They can't argue with us on the merits. They can't argue with us on the facts. So they try to silence us. This is why I'm affiliated with the freeourinternet.org movement to make sure that the internet remains a true level playing field and that important outlets like Inforwars and Breitbart, the Daily Caller, and others cannot be censored, cannot be blocked, cannot be silenced. We are not going to be silenced. We will not stand for it. We will take drastic action to defend our First Amendment rights and our rights to a free press and our rights to a free association. They are really down to censorship as a tactic because they've lost the war of ideas and they know that.
And historically, that's one of the biggest losing tactics. I mean, when you go to the desperate censorship button and then they have to admit it, now Google employees, Facebook, Twitter start defecting, start leaking more data. It's hurting them worse. I mean, Trump needs to move against Facebook, Twitter, and Google for antitrust, for campaign violations, for clearly, because anybody has free speech outside campaign law. But when you get directives from the Democratic Party, as WikiLeaks shows, and you go out and try to shut down the general speech. It's racketeering by the very definition of it.
Well, you're right. It would be excellent if the Assistant Attorney General for Antitrust would take a look at these issues, but unfortunately that position is vacant thanks to Reince Priebus's inability to build a Trump government. Alex, very seriously, what's happening?
Why doesn't he put the guy that got rid of the Fairness Doctrine in? I mean, why doesn't he, grab right now Bruce Fine, and boom, you're in that position. You've already headed up the FCC as chief counsel. You've moved free speech forward. You're right back where you were. Boom.
Because the president is unaware of the fact that there is a vacancy, because General Kelly has not told him there's a vacancy. Mr. Priebus didn't tell him that there was a vacancy. The current administration...
Instead, there's an Obama snot-nose right below operating in that position.
Right. What's happening today in Washington is the current administration in place is 20% Trump and 80% Obama. At the second and third levels of government, all decisions, all information, all operations are controlled by the Obama holdover.
And they're dug in.
The man responsible for this, Reince Priebus. Remember that name. He is responsible.
Amazing. I got to go to these calls. They're so awesome.
Let's do it.
But just briefly, is Kelly going to survive? Because this new stuff where he is sending communiques to Soros, and then more is even coming out, not just from your sources, so this is all confirmed, that he's an actual Soros mole. How long can he survive?
Just to be clear, I think you're referring to McMaster rather than Kelly.
Oh, I apologize. McMaster, excuse me.
Yeah, look, McMaster was affiliated with the International Institute for Strategic Studies, funded by the Saudis, the Chinese, and George Soros. Israeli intelligence sources have confirmed for Inforwars that McMaster and Soros are in direct email touch. This is not surprising because into the White House policy shop, McMaster's has brought a woman named Fiona Hill. She comes directly from the payroll of George Soros, and she's in charge of Russia policy. You can't make this stuff up. It's just extraordinary. McMaster leaked information to the acting FBI director, Andy McCabe, and has been personally derisive of the president's family. McMaster has been trying to oust the loyalist Sebastian Gorka, who supports the president's non-intervention foreign policy. McMaster essentially cleared Susan Rice of political espionage, saying there was nothing wrong with it, and he extended her national security clearance. So even today, she can receive top secret information regarding our foreign policy and lag it to Obama. It is really extraordinary the way the information regarding McMaster has been...
And you got a shadow White House a mile and a half down the road with Obama admitting he's got moles dug in. This is incredible. Kevin, thank you for holding like a trooper. You're on the air worldwide. Go ahead.
Hey, guys. How is everybody doing today? I hope well.
Thank you.
Good. North Korea is nothing more than a distraction than what Roger Stone has just laid out. Remember when Bill Clinton or Monica Lewinsky was testifying about how she got the stain on her blue dress, and she came out and nobody was there to greet her?
Because he shot cruise missiles at a aspirin factory.
Absolutely. This is nothing more than a distraction. That's all it is. Kim Jong-un, or whatever his name is not going to nuke the United States. He doesn't have them at all. Adam Curry was asking about the genesis of the report that he was wondering how that report came from. The genesis of that report is the same genesis that incubate babies in the incubators, Saddam has weapons of mass destruction, and Russians hacked the election. It's fake.
Absolutely. Great call. Great point, Kevin. Thank you for holding. Kevin's coming on hold. I want to send him a free bottle of X2 or a CNN's fake news T-shirt or a Bill Clinton rape shirt, whatever he chooses. He's been holding too long. In fact, everybody holding, whether I get to you or not, you get a T-shirt or a bottle of X2 or whatever you want, basically, from the supplements. Appreciate that, Kevin. I got to take more calls. The only problem with my show is I'm not taking enough calls, and it's wrong, and it's insulting to make you hold for an hour, and I'm going to get better about it. Or Nico is going to punch me in the nose. Even though Nico's so nice, we never do that. And Roger Stone's going to start using external mics, which he's doing. He's good, too. Let's go ahead now. Who's been holding the longest here? Bill in Wisconsin. You're on the air. Welcome.
Yeah, right on, Kevin. You hit the nail on the head. I'm a grunt that supported Trump out here in Wisconsin. I worked hard for him, and I'm sick of hearing about how he is being protected. He puts all these guys in. McMaster, okay, Christopher Wray, Nikki Haley. He puts them all in there and then throws up his hands and says, "Ooh, what a mess we got." Either he is stupid or we are being played once again.
I've had long discussions with Roger Stone on this, and I know I'm right. The elite hate him because he's trying to be the president and wants to do policies that help America and hurt their globalism. That said, he literally eats McDonald's for real. I thought that was a joke. He eats steaks overcooked with ketchup, which is a sin. And he literally is 71 years old and doesn't get it fully. He's a patriot, better than Ronald Reagan, but you don't understand. He doesn't know the pedigrees of all these people. I do this 18 hours a day, and I can't keep track of it all. Roger, is that inaccurate?
You know, Alex, I think he's willfully misled. As I've said here many times in my 40-year experience with him, when he has all the information, he almost always makes the right decision. He's a patriot at heart. So they show him, for example, Dina Habib Powell's resume, and they say, "Mr. President, she's a good Republican and she's got extensive foreign policy experience." They don't mention her associations with Huma Abedin or Condi
And then
Rice.
when it comes up, he goes, "Okay, get rid of her." They go, "Oh, sir, that'll look weak. Don't do that." And they're in total rebellion against him. Believe me.
And we have the perfect example of this past week. The president put out a statement in support of McMaster's because he was tricked into doing so. Kelly went to him and said, "Mr. President, some people," never said conservatives, never said Trump supporters, "some people are criticizing McMaster's for not being sufficiently pro-Israel. We'd like to put out a statement in support of him from you, saying that he is for Israel." Read the statement. No one said, "Oh, by the way, Mr. President, he also just gave Susan Rice a pass for political espionage, and he extended her security clearance." They didn't tell the president of that. He's not a mind reader. This isn't the great Karnak. They give him partial information to trick
Let me say this, and Bill,
manipulated.
Bill's the county commissioner, been calling for like 15 years, I remember. Great guy, sent me a lot of great intel. He's been a guest on before, so I respect, he's run some things before in business too. I know Bill is, so I'm not talking down to him here, but let me tell you something. I got like 80 employees, and they're great people, but let me tell you, we've gone through some problems, we've gone through management, we've gone through folks saying they're doing something they're not, BSing you in your face. I'm managing 80 people, and I got great people, and it's hard. I don't know what it's like managing 4,000. So I'm telling you, I'm not here apologizing for the president. I have sat there, gotten him information. I don't know if the media have a heyday with this. He's checked it and acted on it. That's why they go, "Oh, he's so unstable." No, he really does act when he gets good info. The problem is there's such a bunch of cowards in Washington and scum. You understand what I'm saying, Bill?
Oh, Alex, I want one T-shirt. I voted for Trump, not Ivanka. Okay? She and Jared set up that trip over there where we saw the dancing Saudis.
No, I know. Certainly Trump's 71 years old, man. Look, imagine how bad it'd be if we didn't have him. That's all I'm saying. Imagine if we had Hillary. We're going to come right back. We got Roger's guest coming up, too, but I'm going to come.
Alex Jones
right back.
and the GCN Radio Network.
I'm telling you, folks, he's not perfect. He's not Jesus.
It's Paul Joseph Watson, and the T-shirt has finally arrived. Nothing triggers safe space snowflakes more than this slogan and my face. It is the new T-shirt from InfoWarsStore.com. Conservatism is the new counterculture. You've seen how much this triggers the safe space snowflakes. The left controls culture. They control arts. They control entertainment. They have the complete monopoly on culture, which is why conservatism is the new counterculture. We are striking back in the culture war. This triggers snowflakes like nothing you've ever seen in your life. You've seen how much they absolutely hate the image of my face and that particular slogan, conservatism is the new counterculture. This t-shirt is not only a conversation starter, it will trigger the holy hell out of leftists. It will make me incredibly happy. It's available right now. Get yours at InfoWarsStore.com.
A 44-year-old father was beat by a gang of teenagers and knocked out with a skateboard after he asked them to stop smoking marijuana on a Dallas train. The group of teenagers included young men and women who punched the father and threw him against the train's doors before arriving at the station near Deep Ellum in Dallas, Texas. In world news, 22.5% of the German population now has a migrant background. Migrants and their children make up an estimated 18.6 million people in Germany. According to the Federal Statistical Office, which attributed the shocking statistic to German Chancellor Angela Merkel and her open border policies. In contrast, President Trump plans to overhaul immigration laws in America as part of his wide-ranging agenda to tighten border security. The president is working with 2 senators to draft a bill to create a skills-based immigration program that gives priority to Americans by cutting down on work visa abuse, among other things. For more breaking news and reports, check back at Inforwars.com throughout the day. This is Kid Daniels reporting.
Clean, pure drinking water. You can't survive without it. But where do you get it? Alexa Pure Pro is a brand new, groundbreaking, gravity-fed water filtration system that is like no other. The Alexa Pure Pro transforms water from virtually any fresh source into clean, healthy drinking water, pairing the unprecedented superfiltration power of an all-new gravity block core with a hybrid chromatic shell. It removes up to 99.999% of impurities, including bacteria, viruses, fluoride, disinfectants, volatile organic contaminants, and hormones. Filter capacity up to 5,000 gallons. Stainless steel construction, easy assembly, low maintenance. Replacement filters are simple to install. And now, as part of an exclusive limited time introductory offer, you can save $20 off the retail price and get free shipping. This is a limited time offer, so order your unit today and receive free shipping and $20 off. Go to InfoWarsStore.com or call 888-253-3139. Life.com. It's Roger Stone. He's got another guest coming on.
Live from the Inforwars.com studios, it's Alex Jones.
I used to be such a sweet, sweet thing to lay.
Got a hold of me.
I opened doors for little ladies. I helped the blind to see.
I got no friends.
I got no friends 'cause they read the papers.
They can't be seen with me.
Can't be seen with me.
And I'm feeling real shot down. But this isn't the 1970s. When NSM could attack you and destroy you. Now, a large portion of the public knows it's a badge of honor. They're running out of gas. I'm going to get out of here in a minute or two. Riding shotgun with Roger Stone. He's got a guest coming on as we look at the battle for the heart and soul. When we fight for stuff with Trump, we get it. When we back off and say he's not perfect, the globalists win. They are panicked. Their reaction to Trump is not kabuki theater. It is as real as it gets. Does that mean we're getting something perfect here? Absolutely not. I have the best intentions of stuff I do, and I make mistakes and get the wrong info and do stuff. The difference is I have goodwill. The globalists have bad will towards you. And it's the same thing with Trump. He has goodwill, classic Americana, kind of pig-headed. But aren't a lot of good guys like that? They didn't get pushed around their whole lives and turn into somebody else. They are originally what they were, genetically, culturally, historically. Roger Stone's taken over, but he mentioned their big attack at censorship. We've had Ad Blade with Google ban us off the ads. We've been kicked off Google Store. We've just had everything happen to us since Trump won, trying to shut down our funding. There's a new story on Infowars.com by Kit Daniels. Agency selling sex toy ads and barely legal videos. That's what they're promoting. Blacklist obscene Infowars ads for hate and racism. They said the potential concentrated effort to censor free-thinking libertarians. It was a very popular ad platform, California-based AJ Affiliates. I had the idea, or Frugier had the idea, we had the idea together to have an affiliate program with our stations where we then basically promote ads for their products or their stations on this system, and we push them on Inforwars, and it's an affiliate program and builds and builds and builds. We've been very successful with other systems like this, and they were all ready to sign us up, and they said, oh my gosh, we can't. You violate our terms of service. This is a giant company. It's discriminatory. Now, you can have a gay couple going in and wanting their cake baked, and then everybody jumps on to sue the people for not baking it. I say bake the cake. But when it's big financial institutions and groups and credit card companies saying, we're not going to do business, you're not real news, there's no judge, there's no jury, that's defamatory, that's fraud. And so I am considering legal action. I don't want a lawsuit. I don't want to have to look around for the right lawyers to do it. But I'm putting these folks on notice right now that I've told people I'm getting ready to file lawsuits because we got to do something about this. And I've filed lawsuits before, and everybody knows that. I've been successful every time. But it's because we develop real cases. We don't just throw lawsuits out there. And we just want them to stop doing what they're doing. And we want others to know, there's a precedent here. You're not going to discriminate against us. Advertising agency denied business with Inforwars due to possibility of obscene, abusive, violent, bigoted, or hate-oriented content. Close quote. Despite the fact that the agency does business with sex shops, barely legal magazines, and clients accused of selling hate content. By the way, I've been in Hustler magazine, not as a photograph spread, but 3 articles I've written have been in Hustler, one of them on the cover. And I don't totally agree with everything going on in Hustler, but at the same time, it was a place to publish my controversial views. And Larry Flint's a listener. That's on record. Now, are they going to ban Hustler now? Because you choose to opt in to have these ads on your website. So this is all incredible.
It's not just healthcare.
California-based AJ Affiliates, a major affiliate marketing firm, her website said it consulted with legal team. Well, your legal team's a little bit more busy now. About Inforwars and decided not to move forward, but suggests the company is picking and choosing clients based on political affiliations through the false veil of combating obscene and hate given to its clients. And our ads are very, very tame. In fact, on a scale of 1 to 10, 0 being the most tame and 10 being out of control, our ads are like a 2, folks. You just straight up, here's water filters. Here's, for one thing, CJ Affiliates does business with Discount Magazines, which sells subscriptions to Hustlers, barely legal magazine, and Adam and Eve, the self-proclaimed #1 source for adult toys.
I actually think that
and it just goes on and on and on here, what they wrote back to us.
Ryan already has a really, really, really fractured group of Republicans. We've seen
we should probably publish their letter to us. Hear about it. Cafe Press and everybody else in here.
Vote they had to take on healthcare, only to see it
and they selectively enforce what they want. And it's discriminatory. And they're just trying to put my name out there that I'm this evil pariah, I'm this devil, I killed the kids at Sandy Hook, is basically what they're saying now. It's all made up in an attempt to set the precedent. So we need folks to support us and buy the products from InfoWarsStore.com. Whether it's Google or Facebook or Twitter or these platforms, more and more we're being isolated as a message to everybody. So take advantage of the 1776 specials right now. 55% off on Brain Force. We've never done that. 55% off on X2. It's an amazing product. And so much more. We found we sell even more when we discount even more. The more you buy from us, the more we can drop the price. But I'm trying to expand around here, so please come up to the counter there and get some great products and shop with the good guys at InfoWarsStore.com. You've got my commitment to never back down and to get you results. You can talk all day about Trump's results are amazing. Is he perfect? No. But look at what he's done delivering. Well, we've really delivered. InfoWarsStore.com or 888-253-3139. Again, this is a great article by Kid Daniels who writes like 8 articles a day. Let's add screenshots of their letter to us. I want to add that in there so people see exactly. I mean, the emails, everything from a full correspondence. Put it up there. Roger, you got your guest to go to. Very important. This is emergency breaking news. This just illustrates what's happening. Just like you're going to have to counter sue, you're having to raise money. Right now, because Obama set up a team of lawyers, admits he's suing you through them. He can clearly be a plaintiff now. It's time to fight. You're moving forward with lawyers. I'm looking at who I'm going to sue here, but it's down to a certain yogurt company that we I'm going to leave it at that. It's down to these people, Google, a lot of folks. Google, I put on notice, and they at least put our stuff back at the top listing. But, I mean, what do we do about this? We have Google in the internal documents hiring companies to censor us and saying that we lied about Syrian rebels launching chemical attacks when it was confirmed by our own government. They say that's the fake news, and even use exhibits of why we're being banned, Roger.
My pleasure.
Alex, ironically, the same day that they told you that they would not do business with you, they also told me they would not do business with my site, the Stone Cold Truth. This happened previously, as you know, the company called Adroll. So if you decide to sue, I'm with you. It's time to fight back.
That's right. I said Adblade earlier. It's Adroll. I apologize to Adblade. They're wonderful folks. Adroll. I apologize to Adblade. Go ahead.
It's just outrageous, and you're right, it's selective. It has nothing to do with our content. There's nothing inappropriate or hateful or obscene about any of our content. Their problem is we tell the truth. Their problem is that we expose the conspiracy theories of the left. I mean, the mainstream media is absolutely right. Conspiracy theories are a big problem today. The problem is that most of them are promulgated by the government and by the mainstream media. All we do, Alex, is correct the record. All we do is debunk their conspiracy theories. I'll give you an example. I'll give you a perfect example. The Russians colluded with Trump to steal the election. That's a left-wing conspiracy theory. It's nutty. There's no evidence of it. They just keep saying it over and over again. I feel sorry for these conspiracy theorists. They must be very unhappy people.
All right, I want you to get to your guest. I just barely plugged the last 3.5 hours. I need listeners to understand. You want people to fight? We're fighting. And I know you've been supporting us, but if you just sign up for AutoShip, you get an additional 10% off on things like the coffee or things like the methylcobalamin Secret 12 or things like the Brain Force. Free shipping on items $50 or more. You sign up for AutoShip, you get an additional 10% off. That funds the operation. You are the lifeblood. The children's fluoride-free toothpaste is so good, it's back in. Children's Super Blue. We now have the Dr. Jones approved Super, not me, my dad is the doctor. Fluoride-free Super Blue mouthwash with iodine, colloidal silver, peppermint, and tea tree oil. The #1 recommended mouthwash by Alex Jones. We also have the 10-to-1 by Emirates Essentials. It's excellent, but it doesn't have the iodine, the colloidal silver, but it's excellent as well. Purchase it at InfoWarsStore.com exclusively and help fund our operation. Now back to Roger Stone of Infowars and StoneColdTruth.com.
Thank you, Alex. I think a golden opportunity was lost this week. The Republicans in Congress have done everything humanly possible to thwart the president's program. And the special election in Alabama afforded the president an excellent opportunity to send a clear message to his Republican opponents that he will go to the mat with those who refuse to support the reform agenda. Unfortunately, shockingly, yesterday, the president endorsed the appointed Senator Luther Strange, who has the support of Mitch McConnell. While I have huge respect for the president, perhaps he's unaware of the fact that Luther Strange, as Attorney General of Alabama, corruptly and unethically held a criminal investigation over the head of disgraced and outgoing Governor Bentley to obtain his appointment to the Senate. Perhaps the president is unaware of the fact that Luther Strange wants to keep the Senate's 60% rule that empowers Chuck Schumer and the Democrats to kill the entire conservative Republican Trump reform agenda. Perhaps the president is unaware of the fact that Luther Strange took a $50,000 contribution from a heavy polluter as a reward for sending 2 letters to the EPA blocking an investigation of the polluter and preventing them from paying the cleanup costs of pollution of the inner city areas of Birmingham. This is really extraordinary. Luther Strange is no friend of the president. Also in that race is Congressman Mo Brooks. who does not admit that he was named after Moe of the Three Stooges, and who is a virulent never-Trumper, who not only attacked Trump before he was the nominee, attacked him while he was the nominee, but also attacked him only weeks ago in this primary. The good news is there is a Trump supporter in this race, Dr. Randy Brinson, who joins me now. Dr. Brinson, welcome to Inforwars.
Well, thank you so much, Roger. I appreciate this opportunity to be with you.
As you know, I am deeply disappointed in the president's decision, or the decision that was foisted upon him by Mitch McConnell. I think he had a golden opportunity to show the Senate Republicans that he's not going to stand for their obstruction and their undermining his program. You are the only candidate in this race who is actually for Donald Trump. I should note that former Supreme Court Justice Roy Moore, who's a good man, is in the race, but all of the polls show that he cannot win this race. He will lose the race, as he had all of his previous statewide races, once he gets into a runoff. The idea of a runoff between Mo Brooks and Luther Strange boggles the mind. Two never-Trumpers who cannot be counted on to support the president. Why don't you walk through with people the scandal regarding Luther Strange, presumably Attorney General Sessions, and why we are where we are today?
Well, it's a very convoluted path, as you know, Roger. First of all, Luther Strange has 2 ethics violations pending with the Ethics Commission that was filed not by a candidate, but the Secretary of State for campaign finance violations. So those are pending, and so what happened was they were supposed to answer on those complaints, and the Ethics Commission decided to go take a vacation. One of them went off to Canada, and so they put it off till after the election. That's unheard of. So we have that pending. So he could potentially be in the runoff and then be removed or disqualified from the ballot because of this ethics violation. Then a more serious one, even on top of that, is this with the Superfund. He basically did the bidding of Drummond Cole, not once but twice. Got campaign finance payments right after that, to the tune of $25,000 each, and basically blocked the EPA from cleaning up the site, of which the state of Alabama already agreed they would go along with the cleanup. And the reason he did that is because Drummond Cole and others would have to pay the fines for the cleanup. And now we see, on top of that, this recent article now by Adam Zagorin that maps out the whole connection between Balch and Bingham Law Firm, who is another big contributor to Alabama campaigns and Alabama politics, including Luther Strange. And I think somehow Senator Sessions, even though he's a good man, these people that he's surrounded that give him money are not good people. And that's the problem. I think Senator Sessions trusted people that aren't to be trusted. And that's the problem. And many of them have been implicated with connection to Balch and Bingham. And that needs to be investigated, including the U.S. attorney that's a designee. So all these things are just a big wash of corruption. And that's what we need to try to delve into. I truly believe that Donald Trump, this president, was probably told that he feared Mo Brooks might get the nomination, or at least be in the runoff, and he didn't want that to happen. So that's why he did what he did. But he got only half the information. He didn't get the whole information that I was running, that the Trump nation is behind me, and all of his supporters are behind me, and that's the person that's a real reformer in this election.
Well, you are, of course, a former chairman of the Alabama Christian Coalition, an active in your church and a Bible-believing evangelical Christian. You are an early Trump supporter. You've been endorsed by Citizens for Trump. And for my many critics out there, no, I have no financial relationship with Randy Brinson. No, I am not a consultant to his campaign. I have only one horse in this race. Randy Brinson's a friend of mine. He's a good man. He supports the president.
And we're digging out all the swamp creatures. We're digging out the swamp creatures. I'm sitting there watching. We're digging out the swamp creatures and trying to get rid of the establishment Republicans. That's our real revolution. The Democrats, we're not going to fix them. They're totally mentally ill and on another planet. But the Republican Party is the real fight. That's where we've got the beachhead, and we've got to start supporting the grassroots hard chargers, not more establishment swamp creatures that have been in the baby swamps to then be sent to the big daddy swamp. Sorry, go ahead.
Look, let's be very clear. Luther Strange is Mitch McConnell's bitch. He will vote against the president when Mitch McConnell directs him to. One of the biggest problems in Washington today is that Republicans don't fear the president anymore. It's been a long time since he's taken a liberal Republican scalp. And therefore, they now believe you can flout the president, you can undermine him, you can even attack him, as Mitch McConnell did yesterday, and he will do nothing. Alabama was a unique opportunity to show that that's not the case. I believe if Luther Strange makes the runoff, he may get removed because of his looming ethical problems. There is one solid, Bible-based, Trump-supporting conservative in this race who will stand up for the Trump agenda, and that is my friend Randy Brinson.
And let's expand on that. We don't want to send anybody there with any hint of corruption, just bottom line, because we're good people. But plus, exactly, don't send a scalp to the Democrats. Don't send somebody with a crooked toenail up there. We don't want to send career politicians with all their dirt there for multiple reasons. We don't want to give them a whole nother scandal.
Well,
so, Dr. Brinson, how do you feel about? Go ahead.
Well, here's the thing. You nailed it, both of you and Alex. But here's even more important. I have the only plan that can pass with Democrat and Republican votes for Obamacare replacement. If we don't, all we want to do is just repeal. If we don't have the votes to repeal, then we have to have a plan to put in place. And we have that plan in place that will cap Medicaid spending, create competition for Medicaid patients to take care of them, and that will actually work. And we use that model in Alabama throughout the nation. I just want the opportunity. I'm challenging the White House to let me go meet with the president and his advisors to show him this plan. And I promise you that that thing will get through Congress if we allow that to go forward. That's very important, because otherwise we're going to go bankrupt with Obamacare in the next 6 to 8 months. And then you lose all your majorities. Will be voted out because of inaction by the Republican leadership.
Not only that, but of course, if we lose control of the House, well, then they'll use a trumped-up, phony charge cooked up by Mr. Mueller to remove our president, and Mitch McConnell will stand on the sidelines and do nothing, probably applaud, actually. So tell us the date of the special election in Alabama, and tell me how you feel about the campaign trail.
Well, August 15th is the big day, Roger. That's next Tuesday. We're right in the thick of it. If you can't poll an election like this, if you're being serious, you can't poll it, because it's going to be a low turnout, middle of the summer election. People are going to be at the beach or the lake or somewhere on that Tuesday, many of them. So it's going to be the hardcore people, and those are people that usually support me. So if they don't get discouraged, this is all to discourage turnout and discourage our people. But if the Trump people turn out, the Trump nation turns out, citizens for Trump, and the people that supported Trump's agenda, we can still win this race. Because we've got the ideas, we've got the reason to actually have some.
That's right. Trump's not fighting alone. We're out there fighting, and when the swamp has a victory, we can grab that away from them. Grab that victory right out of their jaws and give it to ourselves and the American people and the future. If we get the word out that all over the country, races like this, that when the swamp, tricks Trump into endorsing somebody, it's okay. We all just go against the swamp.
Yeah, exactly right.
Exactly right. That's what we need to do. And the thing is, we just got to fight back, Alex and Roger. We got to fight back with all this misinformation. I think the president was misinformed intentionally. I think it was intentionally misinformed. And if we can get the president's ear, even at this late hour, I think he can takes his own heads about who were giving him wrong information. That's been the whole problem with the White House. He's trusting people because he's a trusting person, and he's trusting the wrong people that give him misinformation to try to discredit and get their way instead of doing what really needs to be happening for the American people.
It's really extraordinary. Since the beginning of this broadcast, my cell phone has rung twice with a call from a heavy-duty Washington lobbyist who sent me a text saying, "Drop Brinson, can get you paid by Strange immediately." This is what we're up against. This is the kind of crap that goes on in the swamp. I happen to know, in the case of Randy's campaign, Dr. Brinson's campaign, the first 5 Republican pollsters he attempted to retain to help him analyze the race were all pressured out of working for him by none other than Mitch McConnell. So this is an inside game. There is only one Trump supporter and solid evangelical Christian conservative who can win this race and beat the Democrats, and that's Dr. Randy Brinson. Dr. Brinson, thanks for joining us here at Infowars.
Thank you, Alex, and thank you, Roger. Appreciate everything. Appreciate all you do for the American people.
Moving along, I must say I just looked at the 1776 specials at the Infowars store, and it blows me away. Mrs. Stone is particularly happy that the new Super Blue Fluoride toothpaste mouthwash can be had for $17.76. She started using this right after she started using the Super Blue Fluoride-free toothpaste, which is now a real favorite in the Stone household. My grandson Nicholas has actually stolen mine. I have to order more because he liked mine so much. Well, he took it. But if you look at these prices, folks, they will blow you away. Brain Force, which I assure you is absolutely necessary for me to do this show.
What is it about kids stealing your toiletries? My son never steals anything but my razors and my deodorant and my toothpaste. He uses my bathroom like Walgreens. And what is it about that? They're like raccoons.
No, I go to Papa Brain Force because I have to write a paper or do a conference call, and it's not there. When I asked my grandson Nick what happened, he said, "Oh, I had to work yesterday. I took it." So I guess they feel a license, but they ought to go on the site and buy their own. Brain Force 55% off. That's never happened before. Survival Shield X2, 55% off. Secret 12, 55% off. Oil of Oregano, 40% off. Alex, you have cut prices to the bone here with some of your best products. And I agree with something you said earlier. Buy with the good guys. When you support the Infowars store, you support the fight for freedom. You support the fight against the never-Trumpers and the globalists.
We're not just saying that. We have them all coming after us because you are the Infowar. And, the summer's always a very, very dead time for sales-wise in talk radio, period. But I've already just been cutting things more and more because we don't like raise prices and then have 55% off. I mean, this is 55% off. The price is always the same. People see that except we do discounts. And we're doing this because we found we bring in even more money when we cut it down to almost nothing. But I'll tell you, some of these are lost leaders. When you sign up for auto ship, you get an additional 10% off, especially the 50% off on the silver products. That baby is a loss leader right there without that even happening, but we're doing it. Roger, amazing. Thanks for letting me go. It's fun to be able to eat my late lunch, and then kind of just pop in here obnoxiously. So thank you. We're all in this together, my friend. And so a lot more will be breaking, I know, in the next few days. Look forward to having you right here with Infowars coming up in early September with the launch of your own weekday transmission. So thank you so much, Roger.
Alex, victory or death?
That's right. They'll never take us alive. We mean that figuratively, politically. We're never giving up. No surrender.
This is GCN, the Genesis Communications Radio Network.
A 44-year-old father was beat by a gang of teenagers and knocked out with a skateboard after he asked them to stop smoking marijuana on a Dallas train. The group of teenagers included young men and women who punched the father and threw him against the train's doors before arriving at the station near Deep Ellum in Dallas, Texas. In world news, 22.5% of the German population now has a migrant background. Migrants and their children make up an estimated 18.6 million people in Germany. According to the Federal Statistical Office, which attributed the shocking statistic to German Chancellor Angela Merkel and her open border policies. In contrast, President Trump plans to overhaul immigration laws in America as part of his wide-ranging agenda to tighten border security. The president is working with 2 senators to draft a bill to create a skills-based immigration program that gives priority to Americans by cutting down on work visa abuse, among other things. For more breaking news and reports, check back at Infowars.com throughout the day. This is Kid Daniels reporting.
Leading a frontal assault on the lies of the New World Order. It's
This message is transmitted at the request of the President of the United States of America and the Office of Homeland Security. In compliance with the United Nations, the President of the United States has declared martial law. Curfew is now in place. Return to your homes. Any congregating of 2 or more people outside of your homes
beyond a normal state. And as I said, they will be met with fire, fury, and frankly power, the likes of which this world has never seen before.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on this Wednesday, the 9th day of August 2017. I'm your host, Alex Jones, and I am not even going to get into the North Korea situation until we start the next segment because it's so dire. Top British newspapers, the top two papers in the UK, are telling the public prepare for nuclear war and directing them to the location of fallout shelters. Now, there's a lot of Machiavellian angles to all of this that we're also going to be looking at. But the bottom line is this. Beyond McMaster's and others who have been pushing for conflict with North Korea as a distraction from the fact that their coup inside the White House has been discovered. Separate from all of that, that doesn't take away from the fact that Kim Jong-un is completely delusional and out of his mind and just as bad as the corrupt globalists that we see plaguing our culture and our civilization. And of course, the big nuclear weapon in the room, the big elephant, is the Clintons and the globalists and their strategy of giving nuclear weapons and delivery systems to Kim Jong-un's father, Kim Jong-il. So really, we should be discussing the globalist policies of strategic tension, as they call it, that have brought us to this point. But there is no good guys and bad guys in this situation. When it comes to the gods of the state, North Korea is a purist and is an absolute nightmare hellhole with their poor people. But in many cases, being killed in a nuclear blast, if you're in a forced labor camp being worked to death and tortured to death, would probably be some type of reprieve. I'm not saying I want to see a strike on North Korea. War's not beautiful, it's not elegant, it's not something that is to be celebrated. But Kim Jong-un is continually threatening to nuke Seoul, South Korea, Tokyo, Japan. Now he's threatening preemptive strikes against Guam, where we've got B-52s, nukes, you name it, cruise missiles. And they've got a wider range of missiles that can now hit easily as far east as Chicago, Illinois, or Austin, Texas. Depends on how you look at it. It's the other side of the world. You could say as far west or as far east, but they would be firing their weapons at the eastern seaboard. They'd be firing in that direction. Merkel orders Trump calm down as North Korea crisis peaks over Guam threat. See, the media, CNN, all of them, are acting like it's Donald Trump's fault. And I'm not here as an apologist to Donald Trump, but North Korea is continually saying, we're going to have fire, we're going to have death, we're going to rain down destruction on you, we're going to kill you, we're going to turn the United States into a molten nuclear war zone. And then Trump comes back with one little smidgen back of that back, trying something new, as the Secretary of State pointed out, and the media acts like he gave the nuclear weapons to North Korea. They're saying Trump won because of inherent racism when it was the left that ran the campaign on a race-based system.
Yes, not only is the left tactically fascist, not only are they using the sort of tactics of the Nazis, but they also have the ideology of the Nazis. Let's remember that Nazism and fascism were both variants of socialism. The very word Nazi is putting together national and socialista. That's where we get the sound Nazi. Mussolini was a Marxist. He was the leader of the Italian Socialist Party. He was recognized to be on the left. He saw himself as on the left. When Mussolini came to power, Lenin sent him a telegram of congratulations. Why? Because Lenin recognized that Mussolini was a fellow revolutionary of the left. So what an incredible sleight of hand in which these leftists, whose political platform reads like it's right out of the Democratic Party platform.
And by the way, Dinesh, this is something, you're absolutely right. This is something that leftists on universities say that we're lying about, and a real hot point from them, because it's a fact the Nazis were National Socialists. It's a fact that he modeled himself after the fascistas in Italy. It's a fact they wore black. It's a fact they wore masks. It's a fact they beat up their opposition. It's a fact that Hitler then turned against Stalin. They admired each other back and forth because he was seen as a rival politically and a rival militarily. But they had an alliance for the first year of the war where they divided Poland amongst each other. So we had the Warsaw Pact. They hope that's not known, that they are authoritarian and that socialism and fascism have different and left-right versions, and that it was the American left that backed Hitler early on because he was a vegetarian and a bunch of other issues, and he wanted planning of society. This is incontrovertible that the KKK was founded by the Democratic Party. It is incontrovertible that the Republicans passed the Civil Rights Act and took that system away from them, and they panicked. It is incontrovertible that the power structure got scared of American Christians and American Republicans and Eisenhower and created this whole new strategy to get everybody to go, oh, you're going to be liberal, you're going to be anti-racist, we'll take it over and make it extreme, own it, then double-cross you later and make everything race-based again. Once whites have been taught to bow down as long as you say something's for racial equality. So they're using our goodness, our bigness, our Christian Western ethos to then bring us down.
We now take you live to the Central Texas Command Center in the heart of the resistance, rallying patriots worldwide. You're listening to the Alex Jones Show.
Hey, you live in interesting times. The old Chinese proverb. It's Wednesday, already the 9th day of August 2017. And it's at times like this that I don't even like being separated from my children. It's at times like this that I really don't want to go out of town. It's at times like this that I realize how mortal I am and how mortal my family is and how mortal this planet is, life on this planet. And that history repeats itself. History also tends to go in cycles. History rhymes. And if you look at the war that ended back on July 27th, 1953, it never officially ended. There on the DMZ between the North Korea and South Korea. This is the type of day, though, where I want to open the phones up for all of you to be able to chime in and give your response, particularly if you're in the military or been in Korea or in Japan or in China or in Guam. But everybody's a target of this. But the Korean War, the UN police action, came to a ceasefire July 27th, 1953. Millions died in that war. Millions, including over 100,000 Americans. And now we have a psychotic global elite that gave reactors in North Korea, allowing them to produce atomic warheads and missile secrets that the communist Chinese wouldn't even give to them. And the strategy of tension was this: if the West needed an excuse to ever go to war with Red China, as it was properly called, back in the 1950s and 60s and 70s and 80s, Till the political correctness came along, we're supposed to not call it that anymore. With their one-child policy and their forced abortions and the execution of Christians and harvesting their organs and Falun Gong and all the rest of it. But despite that warming towards China, the strategy of tension continued. And that's why North Korea was left there. That's why it's sitting there. Douglas MacArthur wanted to drop atomic bombs on the Chinese troops, 3 million of them that came over the Yalu River. When President Truman told him no, the old soldier that never died but just faded away, as he said, old soldiers never die, they just fade away. He was removed from command. And the Chinese were backed up by Russia, who threatened nuclear war if we repulse the attack with atomic bombs. And why did the Soviets have atomic bombs and we're about to get the hydrogen bomb? Because our government, our deep state, the same folks that worked on the Manhattan Project, used the Rosenbergs as the cutout. This has all been declassified, to transfer the atomic weapons technology to the Russians. They had superior scientists in their own ranks and from the Germans when it came to missile delivery, payload delivery, but not when it came to the bombs themselves. So the globalists, so he'd accept the UN and world government for world peace, transferred nuclear weapons to Russia, then to China, and continued. You don't just think the Clintons did that in the 1990s as part of some thing they thought up to get a few $1 million into their foundation for North Korea, which they got. You don't just think that they did it on their own. They were authorized to do it. So I'm breaking down, ladies and gentlemen, not just the current crisis, but why we're in it. Why North Korea is threatening a preemptive strike against Guam, against Hawaii, against Seattle, against Chicago, against LA. These are all being listed. Because our crazy elites propped up the grandfather of the current little demon that sits there. Even the New York Times admits the Clintons armed North Korea. But it's beyond that. The Clintons are scapegoats, and they're horrible scapegoats. They're guilty. But they themselves are puppets. We have psychotic elite in control that transferred weapons to Russia and transferred weapons to China and transferred weapons to North Korea and transferred weapons to everybody else. Because the globalists want ordered, controlled, cult-like states of absolutely servile, brainwashed minions. And since yesterday afternoon, I've just been giddy with the energy in the air as this escalation went stratospheric. And now I basically had the most unsettling dreams all last night, sickening dreams all last night, deeply having sorrow for my children and the potentiality that is becoming a probability of worldwide nuclear war. And Joel Skousen will tell you, and he's dialed into the smartest guys out there. He's one of them. He's a smart guy. He agrees that they are planning a nuclear war and that he's moved his timetable up to this year or next year now instead of 2020. And he's been saying that for 15 years, and it's coming true. So let's all, it's easy to get mad at the TSA groping little kids. But then you got to ask, why'd Congress pass a law leaving the borders open to Orthodox Muslims, letting them come in on terror networks, then letting them attack, and then taking all of our rights? I'm not going to blame the little TSA person anymore. I'm going to blame myself, Congress, the American people for letting it happen. And it's the same thing. We can sit here and blame North Korea all day. Most of the people there are total slaves, absolutely in the most hellish environment on earth, in forced labor camps. Something like a third of the population is in forced labor camps. where the morals are so whacked out and twisted that there's rules against raping a woman, so they'll rape the woman and then kill her. And the reports of where the people are so tough there that they'll chop their legs off for fun. The entertainment is just torturing people, and then people survive sometimes years. Their legs heal, and they just crawl around with no legs working in the fields. And so you can think maybe raining down hydrogen bombs on North Korea would be a gift to some people, but no, it's not. We can't play God. And here's the bigger issue. Here's the big takeaway from all of it. The globalists set this up and did this. Our evil elites in Europe, the United States, and the UK created communism, propped it up, put it in, gave them all the weapons, gave them our jobs, gave them our industry to prop it up. And we're not facing North Korea. We're facing China. And in the new strategy, Trump was trying to get China to leave this strategy of tension and to stop it and to reform, and Russia. But the neocons and the globalists and the Democrats blocked Trump from his true JFK level peace move. And now in this incredibly dangerous situation where we face China and Russia, things are deteriorating quicker in disputes all along the 800-mile border with India and China, as India and China grab pieces of property from each other that's been disputed for a century and say they've gone to their highest level before they go into full war, which they've had wars before, and both powers are nuclear. And the Indians didn't need help developing atomic weapons. Pakistan was given it again, allowed to by A.Q. Khan Laboratories, under who again? Bill and Hillary Clinton. Same players, same people, same groups. But Donald Rumsfeld was involved with ABB and other companies in the transfers to Korea, North Korea, and Pakistan. And once the Pakistanis had the basic materials, they've built hundreds of weapons. They didn't need a lot of help, did they? So that's where we stand. We're going to skip this network break. That's where we stand on the precipice right now. And so it's not just, oh, Kim Jong-il's a horrible little dictator, pig-like creature. I agree. He's nauseating. Those people he's got under his stinking thumb. I'd like to see him get his neck broken. A lot of other people would, obviously, but transcending that, this is what evil puts on the throne. This is what the devil's got in store for this planet. Under the state god that everybody's pushing so hard for, that'll deliver us into this Valhalla, into the golden Pelennor fields of Elysium. But once you travel to Elysium, you find it's more like hell. The Greek Hades and the heaven you're supposedly going to be transported to. Christian free market, open free will ethos is the fount of success and the fount of transcendence. And the enemy is seeking to pull it down with every ugly, stunted, wicked ideology of Islam, of communism, force feeding it with an icing of sexualization and pedophilia against our children. I should probably get a live mic in here and just walk over to the world map I've got, section by section here, of the continents and the countries, and point out the grand strategies, the grand chessboard. We're putting in a new studio with TV walls twice the size of what we've got in here, so I can walk with PowerPoint and show people in daily briefings what we're doing. We can properly go over this for folks. Because on screen and on the walls and all around us is the planet, the ship we're on in deep space. And we've got people running the ship that are pedophiles, that are devil worshippers, and that have handed out nuclear weapons to everybody. But it's worse. Now their genetic engineering is spreading. And we're out here like if we were a science fiction movie, like some weapons colony, some weapons test, where some dangerous species has been put out in a primitive form on a planet for somebody's entertainment to watch if we can survive and what we do once we get to this level. We have an ancestral memory of technology, all the legends, all the information, all the understanding, epigenetics. We know we've been in space. We know we're advanced. We know it's all just this memory that's there. We all know what we can build. We all know what we can do. And now we're sitting here on the face of this whole thing. I'll probably do it next segment. Thanks. That was quick. Sitting here on this planet with this incredible potential of space colonies and life extension and unlimited cloning. And we got people running things that want Kim Jong-un in charge and who want the communist Chinese in charge. Our CIA put them in power in 1949. And this global force wants to put dangerous, tainted vaccines where it's been discovered in the UN files. They're adding sterilants, they're adding cancer viruses, and you wonder why our life expectancy is going down. You wonder why infant mortality is skyrocketing, why pediatric cancers are something like 15,000 times worse than they were on average. Was 10,000. Diabetes, type 2, 3,000 plus increase in the 1960s. Type 1, multi-thousand increase. So-called genetic. We're being killed by whatever it is in charge and manipulating. And the thing in charge wants us to take microchips to buy and sell. It's now on the news. Is building a worldwide AI system of computers that will project its three-dimensional image into the seats of power, into the shopping malls, into the town squares, and we will worship the AI because it's going to know when we're going to order something from Amazon before we do, and it's going to know when we're going to get cancer before we do, and it's going to save us. But we have to give up our humanity to be saved. We have to give up our humanity to have a baby, but it won't be a baby. It'll be a new humanoid with 5 daddies or 5 mommies, because you can't have a human in this new system. It can only be humanoid. The crime will be being male. The crime will be female. The crime will be male and female in union. They sold you on the sexual revolution in the free love of men and women, and then once they had you there, a successive approximation, they walked you into the gates of hell. Using the weapon of the open free society, using the fact that we don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, they can successfully walk us into total genetic and cultural and species doom. But the doom is not reserved for just the humans. Everything will be defiled. Everything will be twisted. Everything will be mixed. Everything will be deformed. Everything will be made hideous and crying out for destruction before the force is allowed to finally kill everything on the planet. But because of free will, the life must be turned upside down and must beg for its delivery into death. But it will never get that far, because God will spare flesh. But if God didn't intervene, there would be no flesh spared. You're going to look back on these days as happy days. Halcyon azure skies. You're going to look back on this time screwing around, playing your video games, not fulfilling your destiny, not feeling fulfilled. You're going to look back and you're going to beg on your knees to God that you never would have done the things you did, those of you that serve this, but you're going to realize you don't deserve redemption in the end because you went too far and you spit in the face of life and you spit in the face of everything good, and you're going to turn and go destined to go because it's what you chose. And that is spiritual, cultural, genetic oblivion. And that's the force of oblivion. Willing itself to death, willing itself to suicide, broadcasting a screeching, howling, tornado-level freight train of that's why you go out to these anti-Trump rallies. It's not that Trump's perfect, but they sense there's life force. They sense there's someone that doesn't want to destroy everything there. They sense there's prosperity. They sense there's something of strength, an idea of majesty, of human majesty. In the image of God, that's majesty. And there's just a hell's right there, and the gate's starting to lift. And people sense it, and there's a few reprieves and a few nationalist movements and Christian movements and populist movements, and just look what they're doing to the children. Look how they're preparing the radical Islam for us. Look at the cashless society. Look at everything. Look at what they're doing. Look at the cancer rates. And so as the enemy comes in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord lifts up a standard against it. But then the hordes of the earth cry out and say, no, we don't want a reprieve. We want Barabbas. We don't want Jonah. We don't want Christ. We don't want Moses. We don't want any of it. We want the devil. Now give us the devil. Because we're jealous and existentially angry at the goodness and the beauty. Because once they get you to be selfish, once they get you to be immature, once they get you to feel like you're ugly and stunted and to embrace it, embrace your evil side, then you see the strength and the honor and the will as twisted and as fallen. And then you wage war against it because the two cannot coexist. The globalists tell us coexist with them. They're not going to coexist with us. They're not going to let you have anything. They're going to suck your intellect out, use you, defame you, defile you, desecrate you, vandalize you before they tear you into 1,000 pieces. And the monster tearing you to pieces is already halfway down the throat of the next big monster behind him, and the next, and the next, and the next, and there at the end of the line is that old serpent Satan, right there at the switch, shoving his own legs right into the meat grinder. Well, I'm not going down that chute with him. But I'll tell you one thing, I've seen enough of the devil. But I'm kind of like the devil. I've been there. I've seen it. Every night when I go to sleep. Every night I get to get my little visits. And it ain't a visit from old Saint Nick. The devil's real and he wants to kill you. He's visiting you every moment as well.
We're on the march. The Empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
A 44-year-old father was beaten by a gang of teenagers and knocked out with a skateboard after he asked them to stop smoking marijuana on a Dallas train. The group of teenagers included young men and women who punched the father and threw him against the train's doors before arriving at the station near Deep Ellum in Dallas, Texas. In world news, 22.5% of the German population now has a migrant background. Migrants and their children make up an estimated 18.6 million people in Germany. According to the Federal Statistical Office, which attributed the shocking statistic to German Chancellor Angela Merkel and her open border policies. In contrast, President Trump plans to overhaul immigration laws in America as part of his wide-ranging agenda to tighten border security. The president is working with two senators to draft a bill to create a skills-based immigration program that gives priority to Americans by cutting down on work visa abuse, among other things. For more breaking news and reports, check back at Infowars.com throughout the day. This is Kid Daniels reporting.
I'm Millie Weaver, and you're watching Flyover America, an Infowars original series, where we're going to be traveling around the United States talking to Flyover America, the people who feel like they have had their voices ignored by their government, by the mainstream media, and by the people on the coast. So we're going to be talking to the deplorables, finding out why they actually supported Trump. So come along with us on this journey as we discover Flyover America. Throughout our travels, we will be making scheduled stops to talk with those who want to tell their story. Like us and follow our progress on Facebook at Flyover States of America for meeting locations, updates, and even sneak peeks. And if you have a story to tell, come tell it. I'm Millie Weaver, and you're watching Flyover America.
It's Paul Joseph Watson, and the t-shirt has finally arrived. Nothing triggers safe space snowflakes more than this slogan and my face. It is the new t-shirt from InfoWarsStore.com. Conservatism is the new counterculture. You've seen how much this triggers the safe space snowflakes. The left controls culture. They control arts. They control entertainment. They have the complete monopoly on culture, which is why conservatism is the new counterculture. We are striking back in the culture war. This triggers snowflakes like nothing you've ever seen in your life. You've seen how much they absolutely hate the image of my face and that particular slogan, conservatism is the new counterculture. This t-shirt is not only a conversation starter, it will trigger the holy hell out of leftists. It will make me incredibly happy. It's available right now. Get yours at InfoWarsStore.com.
This program contains language and sequences some viewers may find disturbing.
The nation and all of our freedoms hang by a thread, and the military apparatus of this country is about to be handed over to scum, who are beholden to scum, Russian scum.
Please, listen. If you don't, if you won't, if you fail to understand, then the same incredible terror that's menacing me will strike at you!
The function of all life is survival. Sleep. Sleep. Sleep.
Oh my God! Lock the door! Lock the door!
They're coming! They're coming! Help! Help! They're coming! They're coming! Listen to me! Listen! Help! You're next, please! Please! You're next! We're in danger! Please, listen to me! Something terrible! Please! You're next! Here they are! They're already here! Help!
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance. It's Alex Jones.
Notice that Keith Olbermann and his other counterpart floating around over there, Mr. Maddow, all the rest of them, notice that they're now calling themselves the resistance and even using the same iconography because they are not the resistance. They're the globalists, they're the establishment, they the man. And they represent the same scum that armed North Korea. It's an incontrovertible, indisputed fact, but that doesn't matter to the whole world. on the verge of nuclear war right now. Doesn't matter if North Korea every day threatens to nuke Japan, nuke South Korea, nuke the U.S., nuke the Protectorate, Guam, the possession, the territorial possession of the United States. The most